Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty? Guilty.
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 Not guilty.
Guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
Oh, another chap flips.
This goddamn wing.
Well, come on, who was it? Because I want to know.
Who was it? I think we got a right to know.
Excuse me, we agreed that this would be a secret battle.
Secret?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The secret.
What do you mean, secret? There are no secrets in a jury room. I know who it was. Brother, you really are something.
You come in here and you vote guilty like everybody else.
Saul, this slick preacher, tears your heart out with stories about a poor little slum kid.
Just couldn't help becoming a murderer, and you change your vote.
That is the most sickening. Why don't you drop a quarter in his collection box?
Wait a minute, you can't talk to me like that. Calm down. Sit down.
He's very excitable. Sit down.
Excitable? You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. Someone starts telling us fairy tales.
And we're listening.
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? You feel like seeing a proven murderer walking the streets? I'll tell you what. Let's give him his knife back. Make it easier for him.
All right, stop the yelling. Now, does anyone have any other suggestions?
Excuse me, I would like to say something.
I have always thought that a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country.
Hey, look, let's stick to the subject, okay, pal?
What'd you switch your vote for?
Now look. I'll tell you a fucking minute.
He didn't.
He didn't change his vote. I did. Maybe you'd like to know why, No.
I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make myself clear anyway.
If you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
The man wants to talk. Thank you.
This gentleman has been standing alone against us.
Now, he doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure.
Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others.
He gambled for support, and I gave it to him.
I respect his motives.
The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. You can't. I'm talking here.
You have no right to leave this
Can't
room.
hear you. He never will. Let's sit down.
If the speech is over, may we go on?
I think we ought to take a break.
You know, one man's inside, and I think we ought to wait for him.
Okay.
Looks like we're really hung up here, huh? And that thing with the old man, that was pretty unexpected.
Thank you.
God, I wish I knew some way we could break this up. You know, in advertising.
I told you I worked in an agency. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there's some pretty strange people working there. Well,
They're not strange, really. They just have peculiar ways of expressing themselves sometimes, you know what I mean? It's probably the same thing in your business.
what do you do?
I'm a watchmaker.
Oh, really?
Finest watchmakers in the world come from Europe, don't they?
Well, anyway, as I was telling you, in an agency, when we reach a point like this, I'm telling you about in an ad agency when a point like this is reaching a meeting.
There's always some character ready with an idea, and it kills me. I mean, it's the weirdest thing sometimes, the way they precede their idea with some little phrase, you know, like some account exec will go,
Okay, here's an idea. Let's run it up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes it. I mean, it's idiotic, but it's funny.
I was pretty excited, you know what I mean? I didn't mean to get nasty or anything.
Glad you're not one of those lets these emotional appeals influence him.
Baby, ba 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 ba.
You a salesman?
No, architect.
You know what the soft sell is? You're pretty good at it. I tell you, I got a different technique, you know? Jokes, drinks.
Tricks, you know? Yeah. Hit them where they live. That's my motto.
Knock them on their asses. Yeah. I made $57,000 last year selling marmalade. And that's not bad, I mean, considering marmalade. So what are you getting out of this? Kicks?
Or did somebody bump you on the head one time and you haven't gotten over it?
Maybe.
You know, you do-gooders are all alike. You're always blowing your stacks over some guy that fan.
Boy's guilty, pal. Why don't you let us go home before we all get sore throats?
What's the difference whether you get one here or at the ball game?
That's two. No difference, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys, huh?
Oh, they're about the same as anyone else.
Oy, what a murderous day.
Think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
He's guilty, you know. Not a doubt in the whole world. Should have been done by now. Not that I really care. I mean, beats working. Right?
You think he's not guilty, huh?
I don't know. It's possible.
Well, I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wrong in your life. Gotta wrap it up. Just wasting your time.
Suppose you were the one on trial.
Well, I don't do a lot of supposing. No, I'm just a working man.
And my boss does a supposing, but I'll try one. Supposing you talk us all out of this and kid really did knife his father, huh? You ready? Sorry, Blue Eyes.
Okay, fellas, let's take our seats.
Looks like we'll be here for dinner, huh?
Okay, now, let's get down to business.
Who wants to start it off?
I'd like to say something.
Gentlemen,
I'd like to say something.
one at a time. Number one, excuse me, number 6.
All right, please, go ahead, please.
This may be a small point, but anyway. The boy had a motive for the killing, the beatings and all, right? If he didn't do it, who did it?
Well, we're not concerned with anyone else here. Our job is just to figure out whether the boy who's on trial here is guilty.
Guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that's a very important thing to remember. Everybody's a lawyer.
You said a mouthful.
Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you."
A split second later, body hit the floor, and then he saw the kid running out of the house. Now, what does all that mean?
Well, I was wondering how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
Didn't hear it through the ceiling. The window was open. So was the one upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
It was another apartment. It's not that easy to identify a voice, particularly a shouting voice.
Identified it in court.
Come on, he saw that boy.
He seen the woman across the street. She looked right into the open window, saw the kid stab his father. I mean, come on. Isn't that enough for you?
No, it isn't.
Boy, how do you like this guy, huh?
It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. The train had 6 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. I mean, she remembered.
The most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Has anybody here any idea how long it would take an elf?
Oh, wait a minute. This isn't a game. You think you are? Take it easy, fella. I got a good mind to walk around this table and belt. Now, please.
Not a game.
Who do you think you are?
Come on, now sit down.
I'm trying to give him a belt.
That's all we need is a fight in here.
Did you see him? The nerve.
That's a big deal, all right? Just
This isn't a game. Who's he think he's dealing with?
Come on now, it's over. Now let's just sit
It's
down.
not over. I'm on an apology.
All right, boys, he apologized.
Who does he think he is? Sit down.
Who does he think he is?
All right, I'm telling you, don't forget it now. Has anybody any idea How long it takes an elevator train going at medium speed to pass a given point?
What the hell has that got to do with anything?
Well, go on, just take a guess.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
What do you think?
I don't know, 10, 12 seconds maybe.
What's all this for? Well, that sounds like a pretty good guess. Anyone else?
That sounds right
Come on, what's the guessing game for?
What do you say?
10 seconds is about right.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This.
It takes 10 seconds for a 6-car L train to pass a given point. Let's say that given point is the open window of the room where the murder took place.
You can reach out of that window and almost touch the L tracks, right?
Now look at this sketch. Now there's an elevator train with 5 cars. Now that elevator train was going past the old man's window at the exact second of the killing, according to the woman across the street. Do you know what kind of a noise that makes?
Now let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived near the L tracks?
Well, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooked an L line. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Yeah, yeah, it was noisy.
It don't matter, though. We're all punchy.
I lived in a second-floor apartment near the L line once. When the window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can hardly hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Now, will you get to the point? Okay, let's try and tie 2 pieces of evidence together.
First, the old man in the apartment downstairs.
Now remember the old man's testimony. I'm going to kill you, and then 1 second later, he heard a body fall.
1 second later, right?
That's right.
Second. The woman across the street.
She swears that she saw the stabbing through the windows of the last 2 cars of an elevated train. The last 2 cars, am I right?
What point are you making here?
Just a minute. We've agreed that it takes 10 seconds for a train to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the killing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train went by. Therefore, the train had been roaring by the old man's window a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor.
The old man now, according to his own testimony, hearing the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and the body falling, must have heard that statement while the L was roaring by right under his nose.
Now just think about that for a minute. Do you think it's possible he could have heard this boy say, "I'm going to kill you," with an elevated train roaring past the end of his nose?
What do you mean? Sure, he could have heard it. He could? He said the kid yelled it off. That's enough for me.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Well, maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, with the yell noise and all.
Even if he heard something, he still couldn't have identified the voice with the yell roaring by.
You're talking about a matter of seconds. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that could put a boy into the electric chair should be that accurate.
Something I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, with all that L noise.
What are you people talking about? You're calling the old man a liar?
Well, it stands to
You're
reason.
crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention.
Maybe.
You keep coming in with these bright sayings. Why don't you send them into a paper? They pay $3 a piece.
What do you keep talking to him like that for, huh? No, a guy who talks like that to an old man ought to get stepped on, know what I mean?
You ought to have more respect, mister. If you say stuff like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out.
You go ahead. You say whatever you want. No one's gonna stop you.
Why do you think the old man might lie?
Yeah, it was just that I looked at him for a very long time.
The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Any of you notice it? I mean, to come into court like that.
He was a very old man in a torn jacket. He walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know this man better than anyone here.
Now, this is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life and who had never had any recognition.
Or his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him. Nobody quotes him. Nobody seeks his advice after 75 years.
But you know, that's a very sad thing, to be a nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized.
To be listened to. To be quoted just once. Very important to him.
He would find it hard to recede into the background when there's a chance for him to become a...
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell us that the guy would lie just to be important once?
No. He wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he made himself believe he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
Would anybody like a cough drop?
Yeah, I would, thank you.
Well, say what you like, fellas. I still don't see how anybody could think this kid's not guilty.
There's something else I'd like to talk about for a minute. Thanks. I think we proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But supposing he did.
You didn't prove it at all. What are you talking about?
Supposing he really did hear it.
Now, this phrase, how many times has each of you used it? Junior, if you do that again, I'm going to kill you. We say it every day. It doesn't actually mean that you're going to kill somebody.
Now, wait a minute. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you."
The kid yelled it at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me you didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, gee, I don't know. I remember I was arguing with this guy that I worked next to at the bank. So he calls me an idiot. So I was yelling at him.
This man is trying to get you to believe things that just aren't so. The boy said, "I'm going to kill you."
He did kill him.
Let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy'd shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear him? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Bright?
Why, he's nothing but a common ignorant slob. He don't even know how to speak English.
He doesn't even know how to speak English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
You what?
You heard me.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
Well, if this isn't the living end, what are you basing it on? The stories this guy made up?
You ought to write for one of those kooky detective magazines. You'd make a fortune. For crying out loud, the kid's own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance.
His own lawyer. You could see it. Man, he deserves to die.
Oh, does he? You see, sometimes the facts that are staring us in the face are wrong.
Hey, listen. I'm talking to him, not to you. Boy, this guy's beautiful, isn't he? Yeah, listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? The lawyer presented the case, not you. How come you got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
So what does that mean?
It could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case, or he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. That's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He'd really have to believe in his client to put up any kind of a good case, and as you pointed out a minute ago, obviously he didn't.
Oh, of course he didn't.
Who the hell could? Except maybe God come to earth or somebody. Oh, come on, guys, look at the time.
Oh, look, will you look at the time? Huh? Come on, for crying out.
Pardon me?
Yeah. I have some notes here.
Notes?
I would like to ask some questions. I've been listening very closely
And it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty on the surface.
But maybe if we go deeper.
Come on, will you?
Gee.
I would like to ask one question. Now, we assume that the boy committed murder, that he stabbed his father in the chest and then he ran away.
Now, this happened at 10 minutes after 12.
Now, how was the boy caught? By the police.
He came back home at 3 o'clock or so, and he was captured by 2 detectives.
In the hallway of his house.
Come on, man.
Now, my question is this. If he really did kill his father, why did he come back 3 hours later?
Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
Came home to get his knife.
It's not nice to leave knives sticking around in people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
Yeah.
I don't see anything funny about it.
Neither do I.
The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew that the knife could be identified, why did he leave it in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume the boy ran out in a state of panic after having just killed his father.
And when he finally calmed down, he realized that he had left the knife there.
Then this depends on your definition of panic.
He would have had to be calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints left on the knife. Now,
Where did his panic start and where did it end?
Look, you can throw all that other stuff out. He came home to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I had killed my father, I would not be coming back 3 hours later. I would be afraid of the police. No, I would stay away. Knife or no knife.
Look, you voted guilty.
what side are you on? I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm simply asking questions.
Well, this is just off the top of my head, but
But it seems to me, I mean, if I were the kid and I'd, done the stabbing and all of that, I'd take a chance and go back for the knife. I mean, he probably figured that no one's seen him and nobody'd even discovered the body yet. I mean, it was the middle of the night. He probably figured that the body wouldn't be found until the next day.
Excuse me, but that is my whole point. Now,
The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is, a moment after the train went by, she screamed and then went to telephone the police.
now the boy certainly must have heard the scream and knew somebody saw something. No.
I just don't think that he would have gone back.
Two things. One, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud.
Two, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act.
Remember, he lived in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
There's your answer. Maybe. Maybe the boy did kill his father. Didn't hear this.
Ran off in a panic and calmed down 3 hours later, came back to get his knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all of those things are so, and maybe not.
I think there's enough doubt that we can wonder whether he was there at all during the time the killing took place.
What do you mean, Del? What are you talking about?
Didn't the old man see the boy running out of the house? Look, see, he's twisting the facts. I'm telling you, he's twisting them.
Did or didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10? Well, did or didn't he?
He says he did.
Says he did. Boy, how do you like that?
He says he did. Well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the boy kill his father? She said she did. You making out like it don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. What you don't want to believe, so you don't. What kind of way is that? And what do you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their health? I'm telling you, man, the facts are being changed in here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there's no reason for it. Now, look, witnesses can make mistakes.
Sure.
Yeah, when you want them to, they do. You know what I mean?
All right, now let's...
Do it when he wants them to, they do. You know what I mean?
Keep the yelling down.
Oh, you keep saying that. Maybe what we need is a little yelling in here. These guys keep going off every which way. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream.
What difference does it make? Those little details. You guys are missing the important stuff. I mean, all of a sudden in here, everybody's just...
I would like to call...
Vote. I'm talking here.
Another vote called for.
Here, gentlemen, take your seats.
What are we going to gain by voting again?
I don't know. The man asked for another vote. We're going to have another vote.
Now, let's take our seats.
I never saw so much time spent on nothing.
It only takes a second.
All right, the fastest way is to find out who's voting not guilty.